In this video, I'm going to waste 20 minutes of your precious time to tell you some useless information about Osu, which you'll most likely forget the moment you're done watching this video. Are you ready? Let's go. In 2018, it was possible to raise your overall accuracy to over 100%. In this case, 169%. So how does this work? Actually, it's pretty simple. By submitting a D rank on a map, your overall accuracy total gets added by 4.6%. And the more you stack it up, the higher overall accuracy you get. This glitch was so game-breaking that further investigation was done to see how it worked. At first, even the creator of the game, Pepe, was stumped. It took him over 9 months to eventually fix this, but this just goes to show how broken Osu can be. The overall difficulty of a map, also known as OD, doesn't just affect the notes. It actually makes the spinner harder to hit too. This means the higher the OD, the harder it'll be for the player to survive.
Oh! The giant! No!
Back in the old days, and I mean the old days, you could cheat flashlight by simply turning up your gamma. This allowed you to see notes on the edge of the flashlight circle. Since this was the early days of Osu, it took a while for it to be patched, but Pepe's way of fixing it was by adding cheating to the dim around it. So if you play with high gamma, a flashing cheating would flash around, distracting the player who used gamma. But real quickly guys, this video took me a huge amount of time to make, and it would make my day if you just click subscribe. It's free, and you can change your mind anytime you want. Anyway, back to the video. At the very beginning of Osu, you could have special characters in your name. It was only around for a short amount of time, which made these players some of the rarest accounts in Osu. On July 30th, 2008, Saturos, who was the #1 player at the time, managed to go one step further and gain rank number 0. The strange part about this though, was that nobody knew why he was ranked number 0. Everybody was confused, and no one had a clue to what it could be. Even Pepe said, "I'm trying to think of the answer to this, but honestly, I've forgotten why." There's even been other incidents of other players becoming ranked number 0. But their rank number 0 was only on the website and not in-game. The score of an Osu map actually has a limit, 2,147,483,647. This is known as the 32-bit integer limit. Any score that goes above this number will instantly loop back to -2 billion.
I can see it going down.
It's happening. I'm going.
Oh shit!
Let's see. Will Osu like it? It's legitimately giving me -2 billion score.
This means that if somebody FC'd the Sun, the Moon, the Stars with Hidden, DT, and Hard Rock, they would get -2 billion score. Every map in Osu has a status: ranked, loved, qualified, not submitted, and pending. But back in 2008, there was a status called approved. Some of the most famous maps in Osu, like Big Black and Freedom Dive, are actually approved maps. And so the question is, what even is an approved map? It was a map that everybody liked, but it wasn't able to be ranked. Some more examples of these maps are the old Ascension to Heaven, all the early Dragon Force maps, Image Material, and speaking of beat map status, you can actually filter which maps you want. For example, status equals L will only give you love maps. You can also filter by length, OD, AR, CS, HP, BPM, and stars. Osu ranking. You have SS, S, A, B, C, D. Generally, if you get an FC on a map, you'll receive an S rank. But sometimes, if your AC is too low, you'll actually get an A rank. So how is that even possible when an S rank is usually 95% plus? Well, it turns out that the rank you get isn't based on AC, but by a strange formula consisting of your 150 count. And speaking of accuracy, the lowest AC FC possible is 16.67%. by getting only 50s on a map that has only circles. In 2009, there was a map that was ranked before it was submitted. For example, Day After Day by Osu Player 111. It was submitted on January 5th, 2010, but it was ranked on January 11th, 2009. Usually a map is ranked after it's submitted, but for this map, how would you even explain that? One of the theories is that this map was not even uploaded in 2009. It was unranked to fix many errors long ago, and somehow in this process, they accidentally set the wrong year. Another theory is that back then you could update maps while they were already ranked, but that one is a little bit less trusted. There exists a website where you can see how many country #1s you have. There's also one to see how many global top 50s or top 8s you have. Status.ppy.sh shows all the services behind Osu along with its up and down time. Osukai.net has every single number 1 ranking you could think of. Number of badges, number of ranked maps, number of love maps, total PP across all modes, replays, and even medals. And speaking of medals, there are over 280 available to collect across 8 different categories in Osu. Here's some of the hardest ones. Unfathomable. You have no equal. FC any 10-star map without using easy, no fail, or halftime mods. And as far as I know, Quink is the only one with this medal. A touchscreen DT Hard Rock FC on C-type. Skye Lord, never miss a wing beat. SS James Portland Skye Master. Yeah, so at first glance, how could a 5-star map be the second hardest medal in Osu? Well, all I can say is don't let it deceive you, because Skye is not your normal 5-star.
That's kind
Kinda unlucky. On this 2007 map, the top 4 spots were done over 15 years ago, and what's weird is that you can't snipe them either. This is because back in 2007, you can actually spin up to 640 rates per minute. For score that makes sense, but the thing is, not only is your score better, but the combo is higher too. How is the combo higher when the notes are the same? Okay, all I'm saying is that this next one is a bug, and even though it's been widely used and nobody's been banned for it, I would just go at your own discretion. If you play a map while it's qualified and pause on the very last note, and then you wait till the moment the map gets ranked, you can click the last note and submit the score. As a result, this puts you at a huge advantage. For example, this map was ranked recently, and the top 10 spots were all achieved within the first 10 seconds of the map being ranked. But wait, this gets even deeper. If you tab out of Osu for a certain amount of time, once you tab back in, your cursor will be all smooth. At first, this may seem like nothing more than a harmless and visual bug, but let's say you're trying to do the trick that I mentioned before. Get number 1 on a ranked map right as it gets ranked. If you tab back in now, you won't be able to hit anything, including a spinner or a note, which means that this trick doesn't really seem to work. This means that they would have to know that the map is about to be ranked to do this glitch. And the only way you can do that is by either literally asking the person who's gonna rank it or a bot. Some of you may know of this weird and strange McDonald's map. And here's something that most would never know about it. In parts of the map, there's sliders that go perfectly back into itself. This is called a Burai slider, which is unrankable to today's standards. The Burai slider was said to be named after Burai Master 1234, and you can also see this type of slider in a handful of old maps. As of right now, the PP record is 1,253 by Kalanu. But if we considered unranked maps, this number has gone much higher.
There you go, there you go. 2,251 PP, boys.
Players have experimented with breaking the PP system to its absolute limit. For example, on October 2nd, 2020, Goink got 28,310 PP on an unranked version of Goodbye Moonman. However, 28,000 PP is only a quarter of what you can get. Take a look at this map made by Unco. Somehow, in only 17 seconds, all of that was worth 91,000 PP. When we put 4 mods on this map, that's over 100,000 PP. Can't Defeat Airman is one of Osu's most popular maps. But did you know there's actually 4 total sets of Airman, ranked before the one we know today? Let's say you create a slider, and it looks like this. And let's say the slider tick is off the screen. You can still hit the slider tick if you have a widescreen monitor and you change your resolution. Here's how it looks on a replay, and you can even see maps that usually the sliders aren't able to be seen entirely. Camellia Crystallized and Sky Delta Grenade. Both of these maps have many things in common, and all of them are not normal at all. Both of these maps have permanent break time. As a result of permanent break time, the background will always be visible, and the player will be unable to turn it back off. Also, the flashlight circle is greatly increased during break time, which causes this map to become playable with flashlight, which explains why the entire leaderboard, especially the second one, is filled with flashlight. Finally, because mouse buttons are enabled during break time, you cannot drag, you have to hover, or you will have tons of mouse inputs. If you start a map while holding Control, it'll play the map with auto mod enabled. If you press Control, Alt, Shift, and S, it'll refresh your skin. Every Osu map has a success rate to it, but what most people don't know is that if you hover over the number percentage on the website, you can actually view the play count to pass count ratio. The artist of this song is actually the mapper of Freedom Dive, and they're also a featured artist. Whenever you're selecting a song in Osu, you can right click along this line in your menu to scroll super fast, and you can also drag your cursor back to the left to go to the map you were just on. The mod multipliers are not exact. For example, the score multiplier of Hidden is 1.06 times. Here we have 2 SS's, one with hidden and one with no mod. Whenever we take the first score divided by the second score, it should give us 1.06, right? This game is a lie. If you say bad things in Osu, you'll get silenced. But did you know that the silence duration limit was put in the game because somebody posted a screamer? Once they were unsilenced, they immediately posted the same screamer again. This caused Pepe to silence him for 2,000 years. When Pepe woke up though, there was a ton of pings, and as a result, he lowered it to only 1 month. The way Osu calculates score isn't just your score. It is the hit value times 1 plus the combo multiplier times difficulty multiplier times mod multiplier divided by 25. Osu counts scores outside of your top 100 for your total PP. They actually count every single score you've ever set. It's just weighted super low. If you get too nervous while comboing a map, by going inside the skins.ini file and then scrolling down until you see fonts, set combo prefix to 0, save the file, refresh your skin, and now you have no combo number. The Osu website has its own community forums. For the most part, they're pretty active, and stuff like tournaments and mapping are mainly what it's used for. But if you scroll a bit further, you find the other tab. Here, they talk about anything. Even just scrolling through off topic for a bit, it's pretty questionable. Basically, every single one of these forums are pretty dead. If you go to rankings and select Kudosu, you actually get directed to the old website. And speaking of the old website, you can actually go to it whenever you want, even though you're not supposed to. If you simply replace Osu with old, and then press enter, you can view any page in the old layout. And speaking of old things, Osu has been around for over 15 years, and thanks to internet archiving, we can actually view it at its earliest state, as early as October 11th, 2007. Osu had literally just came out, meaning that the player ranking only had 21 people. In Osu, the amount of friends you have actually has a limit. Once you add over 500 people, you won't be able to add anybody else. For the longest time, this has always been a thing, and understandably, players don't like it. But wait, there actually is a way to get more than 500 friends. And here's how. To get 501 friends, simply add the player through the in-game player list, and you can now have over 500 friends. But if you want even more than that, if somebody on your friends list gets banned, then they count as an unfriend. However, when they get unbanned, they'll count as a re-add, meaning you'll go over the limit. Back then when medals were just added to Osu, you can actually get banned for revealing how to receive a certain hush hush medal. And a hush hush medal is pretty much like a secret achievement. Some of the most hardest medals only held by 0.10% of every Osu player include not bluffing. Basically, FC a map with flashlight. However, if you're not so dedicated to get that medal, here's something that's a lot easier. When you see it, pass any map by song artist XI with X 7.27% accuracy. Now, if you're relatively new to Osu, you won't really know what the big commotion over 727 is. So real quickly, an Osu player called Cookie Z, who some regard as one of the best players ever, got a 1-miss play on Blue Zenith with Hard Rock, giving him 727 PP. At the time, this was Osu's very first 700 PP play, but the reason why it's achieved almost godlike status in Osu is because everywhere, players have reported seeing the number 727. The approach rate of an Osu map can make a map very easy or very hard. Usually the average is between 9 to 10, but by playing on a modified client like Mick Osu, players actually decide to play with negative infinity AR. This results in the screen looking like a jumbled mess, and somehow, through sheer memorization, they're able to play it. The lowest ranked country in Osu is Bouvet Island, having only 1 active user and only 9 play count. I might as well show the page because I doubt anybody looks at this. Some of my favorites are British Indian Ocean Territory, Christmas Island, and most importantly, Chad. Some countries in Osu don't even exist. What I mean by that is if we go to Netherlands Antilles, the flag is a question mark, and clicking on it directs you to a blank page. The very first time you buy supporter, you receive a free name change. And I say free, because the more you change your name, the more expensive it gets. The second time you change your name, it starts at $8, and every single time from that point on is a multiple of 2, meaning that 6 name changes is $100. Pretty expensive for just changing your username on Osu, but some people don't mind. This user, Anna Apple, has changed their name 16 times. This means that they spent well over $1,000 on just name changes. And speaking of names, you can take an existing user's name if they haven't logged on for over 6 months and have no plays. However, for every 500 plays across all game modes, the person must wait an additional year if they want to take the name. But there's a way around all of this. If you never want your name to be taken by somebody and you happen to go offline, rank a map or get a permanent badge. By getting either one of these 2 things, your name will never be able to be taken. Osu is a very nerve-wracking game. Whether it's hitting the hard part of a map, having good accuracy, or holding combo on a long map, it's very easy to get nervous.
Yeah.
Some players though, shake. And I mean really badly. Like, just look at these clips.
Cursor trail on this skin, you can still see it clear. Oh my god! Oh no! Finally! Alright.
2B mapping, mainly seen in loved or aspire maps. It's essentially just a map where two notes are on the same beat. Even though 2B will never be a rankable map, they're still pretty cool. TLDZKEK seems like a random YouTube channel, but it's actually Cookie Z's old live plays from 11 years ago. Osu is not an original game idea, it's actually an emulation of the DS version of Osu Tatake Oenden, which was released on July 28, 2005. The very first Osu map was Disco Prince, made on October 6, 2007. And created by Pepe. Osu has custom user titles. These can range from past OWC winners, mappers, contributors, or sometimes miscellaneous reasons. Phil_old has an upside down question mark for his user title. This is because he was the very first person to make an account. But these other people, I'm not sure. Zalius has a user title of boats in orange text, maybe because Herd Island and McDonald Islands has lots of boats. The Wrecker has the user title Cool Dude with gray text. His profile seems pretty normal, but oh wait, alright. Brace yourself because this might get a little odd. For a while, there was a small trend going on to see how much PP you can get using your feet. It started pretty instantly with Cuffster getting a record of 4.28. And by the way, Cuffster is somebody who used to have the #1 highest PP record using touchscreen back in 2014. And then on the same day, a player named S'morejoy doubled his score getting 8 PP on a 2-star.
Let's fucking go, dude! Yes! Oh my god, I've been doing this for an hour and a half.
Even Hugo Frost decided to do this too. He got a new record of 15 PP. Eventually though, the highest amount that I could find that somebody actually got using their feet was 28 PP on Lonely Go.
Wait a minute, hold up. I was editing this video and I just realized these are hands!
Multi-accounting used to not be bannable. Alice, who is the maker of Sakura no Uta, is actually one of many multi-accounts of an old Japanese mapper named Momovli. And by comparing these two maps, it becomes obvious why these two are the same person. But multi-accounting isn't allowed, so how did this go under the radar? If you didn't know, when you get banned, you have to go email Osu's support system. But back in the early days, when the game was so small, many non-speaking English countries were unable to reply to the system, including Japan. Also, multi-accounting wasn't a strictly enforced rule like it is today. As Pepe said himself, it used to only be frowned upon. In a very early build of Osu Laser, the hit circles were actually squares. Ever since 2009, Osu has its own custom April Fool's event. For example, in 2012, the website itself had flashlight and hidden. Or in 2013, BanjoBot will become a tsundere. In recent years though, the only thing they've done is sometimes when you open a beat map, a sound effect of a sneezing girl will play. Peria006 is a global moderator and beatmap nominator. But the thing is, they're actually deaf. How can a deaf person even map? Well, back whenever they were a kid, they were playing in the kitchen and they spilled a big cup of coffee all over their body. After not being able to talk or hear for 3 years, Pierre's mom got him a hearing device. And the very first song he heard was this. Since this was the first song that Pierre had ever heard, it made him cry. One of Pepe's maps is not available for download. It was unranked in around 2010, and nobody knows why. The map itself isn't really anything special, and it's also regarded as the first graveyarded map. Mad Machine is a map from 2011, and back then, this kind of BPM was unheard of. But what most people don't know is that Mad Machine is actually based off a map in 2011. The original version is now 16 stars, and here's what it looks like. Aspire maps are known to be game-breaking. Every year, a new mechanic gets pushed out to break the limits of Osu even further. But the very first Aspire contest was back in 2014, and I mean, it's pretty interesting, but we can go back even further. All the way back in 2012, when Aspire wasn't even a thing, a user named Lollipop was making some very cool maps using storyboards. For 2012, this was unheard of. And even though the maps we have today are objectively better, it's interesting to see how we've evolved over time. I know I've mentioned how there's #1s which can't be sniped because of how old they are, but this #1 is even older. Over 14 years ago, everybody has an SS, meanwhile this guy has a 92 AC and still beats them all by quite a bit. His score is so old that his name has _old in it, which happens when your account becomes old. At the core of it all, Pepe is more than just Osu's main developer. He's made several other projects, but some of them, I was shocked to hear that he actually made it himself. If you ever wanted to share screenshots super fast, you may have heard of Push. Well, Push was actually made by Pepe. Back then, Push was being used all the time, and it's crazy to me that the origin of Push is the guy who made Osu. He also made a Windows XP resources page, and there's probably countless stuff that I'm not even aware about. Do you have a Windows 2000 professional computer? Well, you can actually play Osu on Windows 2000. If you ever have trouble with spinning, you can tape your pen to a mixer and turn it on to get free maximum spinner. When Cookies was taking a long break from the game, somebody made a rumor that he got killed by a grenade, and people actually believed him. Back in 2019, a top player from back then called Adam QS requested for Osu to delete his account permanently. This means that he could never log back into Osu again. Well, there it is. 20 minutes of your time, gone. Some of the info I said was useless, some of it was useful. Hopefully you learned something, or nothing. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you want to see more content, click here, or go to my channel. I hope I've thoroughly wasted your time, and I'll see you later. Bye.